I was originally going to start off talking about something else, which I'll record in a minute actually, but I just did a delivery at Sheetz, and some of the recordings I did back in like maybe October, November, up till last month even. It's July of 2019, so from September, October, November, all the way till the beginning of, I'd say the beginning of June. I used to talk about, I mentioned Cassie and Hannah, which are the two girls that worked at Sheetz. Well, Cassie went off to work somewhere else, some other kind of job, same kind of thing, with the dreams of, she's the one that does lesbian, and she has dreams of, helping people some way, and she says she understands some of the stuff that I talk about, but she's all worried about past lives and how to help this person with, karma and stuff like that. And what I try to explain to her is that the past life is actually, whatever she's doing right now is happening in somebody's life. In some form, it's happening right now. Anything that you've done in your past life is being dealt with somewhere by someone in this life. So just deal with the things that come up to mind. Like, work on one thing at a time kind of thing I was trying to tell her. Instead of worrying so much about what may have happened, is that being was a different being. Because that body that person had can't be worked out because those people and situations aren't here. And you can't go back as a person like... Yeah, you can't walk up to somebody now and be like, in another life, I wronged your family. They wouldn't understand it, and if they did understand it, they probably wouldn't believe you anyway. And if they do believe you, it's a lot of work to try to find that in every person. So you just work on what you can as you do it. And she sort of didn't seem interested in what I was saying because she wanted exact answers, and I'm like, the exact answer is that, because it's all, I could send you on some goose chase, but that's what most people do. They tend to tell you some stuff that you want to hear, and that's the problem, is that everything is made up in your mind. The people telling you stuff, going to see fortune tellers and whatever, yeah, there's a element of that that's right, but that's because they're going off of what you're projecting. You don't understand that they're just reading your mind. Everything, anyone that can tell you the future, the past, whatever, is just reading your mind. That's all. I mean, or reading the mind that you don't know you have, because the mind is outside you. Your brain is just interpreting the mind. Well, your brain is in action is mind, So, like, your brain just interprets whatever it wants to, according to how much you've learned or what you think, and along the lines of who you're around and your surroundings, your atmosphere, your environment, all those things, So, but anyway, I was at Sheetz, and there's this new person. I didn't even catch her name for the second time I've seen her, the second week in a row. She doesn't have a password and whatever, and she was telling me, she's one of the people that was talking about Joel. She's like, when I met Joel, I asked him, like, where he's from and how long he's worked for Sheetz and da-da-da-da. And then she, all her questions were somewhat personal, but about Sheetz. Like, cause she's like, I asked him how long he worked here and where he started and all this kind of stuff, and what his starting date was. And he was like, you're asking me all the wrong questions. You should be asking me what the blah, blah, blah. She said, well, I know what all the policies are. I'd rather know people for what they are. And I told him, I could look up I can look up your records if I want to find out about you. And then blah, blah, blah. And then she said something else later about, so when he came in yesterday, I told him, yeah, so you started blah, blah, blah 20 years ago, and you started here, and you started this, and this, and this. And then she was saying how, I can look up your records. And I'm thinking, like, why are you worried about looking up people's records? If they don't want to tell you something about themselves, then who cares? Like, she's one of those people. So then I was just like, I don't really care too much about, if I talk to somebody, I want to know about their personal stuff. Because at first I didn't realize that she was talking personal stuff, but it all still had something to do with Sheetz when she was, and I didn't catch that at first, and I was like, oh yeah, she did sort of mention, like, she's like, I can look up your birthday and where you live in your resumes and your employment history, and I'm thinking, like, why would you do that? If someone doesn't want to tell you all that stuff, then why? And so anyway, long story short, when it got to the point, I just said how, I think people, I basically said how people are the way they are, and they can't really help who they are up to this point because it's their life that led them to where they are right now. And, I went on a longer spiel than that, and I was trying to sum it up, but I sounded sort of idiotic when I just tried to sum it up here. But anyway, all I really wanted to point out is that after that, I went and I put my slips over, and she was just walking around doing a thing, and she knew I was ready. I was standing at the corner waiting for her, and she just, like, walked away. And then as I was putting it away, she's like, are you ready for me? And I was like, I just put it all away. I can get it all back out if you want to. She's like, oh, well, that's fine. I can check you out on the camera to check out where you put stuff. I'm like, if you want to. I'm like, but I'm trustworthy. You don't have to do that. But you can. I'm like, no big deal. I'm not going to lie to you. She's like, oh, I know. And she's had that weird feeling. And I'm thinking, like, why would anybody? I don't know. She's just one of the, I don't know how to explain that. One of those, she has to check everything for herself, but in a weird way. Like, you're at work. I'm I'm the bread guy. I've been doing it for 4 years. I'm not gonna steal anything from you. And if I did anything, and if I gave you something extra, who cares? You know, it's not like, I just don't understand. You know, some people, they're so robotically entangled in their job description. It's ridiculous. I feel bad for people like that. And not because, you know, there's anything wrong with them, but I just feel bad that they're so sucked into what they're doing. But that's all I wanted to say about that. So now I'm going to record the other thing I was going to say.